Ladies and gentlemen, the 3 knockdown rule on Triller is in effect. I'm Steve Kim, joined by Mario Lombardi Trophy Lopez. But that was not your first Super Bowl yesterday.
That was not, but did you know, fun fact, I have now been to the hottest, temperature-wise, Super Bowl in history, which was yesterday, and also the hottest World Series game in history. Just a fun fact right there.
Dodgers-Astros in 2018 or 19.
That's right.
If I
Also, the
recall.
longest game in history in World Series and the shortest game in World Series history. A lot more baseball history I've witnessed than football. But yeah, it was 85 yesterday at kickoff, which I guess was the hottest temperature ever for the Super Bowl.
A lot of things going on. Want to thank everyone for making this possible. Smoke and Tim Frazier, Justin Buffalo, Knuckles, and editing the show is Tino. Let's get started. Plenty of things to talk about. We do have a special guest coming in studio just a little bit later in our next segment. Let's get started. Round number 1, big news. Mike Hoppinger of ESPN is reporting that Canelo Alvarez, the man who carries the sport on his broad shoulders, he was on the verge of signing a 2-fight deal with DAZN and Matchroom Sports. Mario, it looks like if he accepts this deal, puts his John Hancock on the contract, it'll be first WBA light heavyweight champion Dmitry Bivol, then arch nemesis Gennady Golovkin at 168.
That's what it's looking at. I'll tell you who's not going to be there, Charlo, which we'll get to in a minute. Yeah, the numbers are pretty astonishing. I believe it was $85 million base for 2 fights, not including the pay-per-view upside. But you know what? He deserves it if he fights those guys. Bivol's a tough out. He's a champion. He's the naturally bigger man. I think he's a style that's complicated for Canelo, and it's saying that he's. I don't think he'll necessarily be the favorite, but he's no easy out. And Triple G, many believe, it handed Canelo his first official loss, or pardon me, his second after Mayweather, but his first in his prime, right? And some people even believe he's 2-0 against him. Now, granted, he's now 40, 41. How old is Triple G? And there's a lot of tread on those tires.
He'll be 40 on April 8th.
There you go. So he's obviously in the twilight in his career, and a part of me is happy that knowing Gennady will get a nice little payday. But does he have one more go in him? One more bullet in that chamber? Because he is that stiff jab, not having to cut that weight. Who knows? Because right now, Canelo is firing on all cylinders and is at the peak of his powers, if you will. But if he were to beat both Bivol and Triple G back to back, he's now getting into the discussions of all-time greats. Forget fighter of his generations. Don't you think that's fair?
If he faces Bivol, keep this in mind, out of his last 5 fights, 4 of them will have come against undefeated belt holders. Callum Smith, then he fought Ildrum. Okay, that didn't really count. Then he fought Billy Joe Saunders. Then he fought Caleb Plant. Then he might fight Dmitry Bivol, who, by the way, a guest that knows a lot about boxing, Tim Bradley, he believes he's the toughest stylistic matchup at 175.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
That's his number 1 light heavyweight. As for Golovkin, what does he have left? Come talk to me after he faces Rito Murata.
By the way, that's not a gimme either, Ken.
Not at this stage.
He's got to...
Not at this stage.
Exactly. He's got to win that to be victorious. And is that still taking place in Japan?
My understanding is in talking to Team Golovkin, they are not going into any Canelo fight with this long layoff. They are going through with that fight. But again, a lot of that depends on the restrictions and the guidelines with COVID as it relates to Japan. A lot of money, a lot of yen on the table.
Kind of a win-win for Canelo, because if Triple G is able to be victorious, obviously a huge fight. But even if Murata is able to win, raises his profile, they can do that fight in Japan, which I don't think Canelo will have a problem with, because I think the upside will be that much more financially. So the only thing, I think this is awesome. The only thing that if I'm being meticulous, is a little discouraging, is I hope it's not the only time we see him. He fought 3 times this last year. I hope we get to see yet another fight. Do you think that's possible?
Not sure. I just wonder if that's the last time we see him truly be as active as he was last year. But again, let's take it one fight at a time. And I want to make this comment. The fact that Canelo Alvarez is actually being criticized if he takes this route shows you what a high standard that he has set. In fact, you could have the no standard, the double standard. There's the Canelo standard. This guy's literally taking on maybe the best light heavyweight in the world. Ring Magazine has him at number 2 behind Beterbiev. Gennady Golovkin is still number 1 at 160. I want to ask a very simple question for those being critical of Mr. Alvarez.
Who would be critical of him? They're foolish they're foolish and ignorant. I'm sorry, and just straight out being haters. How can you be critical of that?
And what is your favorite fighter doing? And moving on the 3 knockdown rule on Triller, Mario, late last week, Ryan Garcia sent out a missive on social media saying that he is now trained under the auspices of a former guest on the 3 knockdown rule, Mr. Joe Goossen, which means that his time with Eddie Reynoso has come to an end.
So I spoke with De La Hoya this morning, coincidentally, and asked him, hey, what was the deal there? And apparently Ryan just didn't feel like he was getting the love or the attention from Reynoso because his stable is getting vast, and he wanted a little bit more focus. And he had a gym. He got himself a gym down in San Diego. I believe it's called Fierce King.
Wait! Isn't that a clothing boutique on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood?
I don't know,
King?
but
it's a gym. Okay,
it's a gym in San Diego. And the reason he got it in San Diego is because I know you're going to be wanting to train down there. But the reason he got it in San Diego is because he thought he could convince Reynoso to train over there to give him some individual time, but obviously he's got a lot on his plate.
You know what I heard? I heard Reynoso just hated the word Fierce King. Anyway, here's the thing about...
So hold on. So he wanted to show he kept the gym to get isolated, and he also told me that he had worked with Joe back in the day. He had started off and they had worked together back in the day when he was a kid. So there's history there. And I like Joe. We both like Joe Goossen. And he's old school, and he's tough, and he's a really solid, good trainer. If Garcia were to totally surrender to his ways, then I see it being, I think, the potential for a successful merger.
Mario, I spoke to Joe Goossen on Saturday, and he says, hey, he's been given assurances that he's going to comply. But again, you never go into a relationship saying, hey, I'm going to be lazy, I'm not going to listen, and you're probably going to boot me out. Okay, we'll see what happens. Promises.
It looks good on paper.
It does. With that said, I've been in the gym with Joe Goossen. He is decidedly old school.
He is.
The flashy mitt work doesn't do a lot of that.
A lot of heavy bag, a lot of sparring.
Put away your camera, because if you think you're going to be doing all these TikTok videos, nope, not happening. And also, one thing about Joe Goossen, it's not for everybody. I've been there with Sergey Lipinets. I've been there with Brian Valoria. I've been there with Chris Arreola. I'm literally saying from the time he wraps the guy's hands all the way till they leave the gym, it's like 3 hours. There are times when fighters that are under the guidance of Goossen will do up to 40 to 45 rounds of floor work. That means shadow boxing, double end bag, heavy end bag, the slip drill. It's not for everybody.
It's real work. I love that kind of trainer. I love a hard nose, a tough guy. I wanted to bring it out of me. It is. It's one of those trainers have to wear those counselor / psychologist / father figure hats, and you got to find that right mix. To me, Ryan needs this kind of trainer in his life, and I think it should be pointed out his father will continue to be co-trainer. So we'll see how that works out, and if the chemistry is there. Look, I love me some Joe Goossen, tightest wig in the game, tightest denim in the game.
Yeah. The Denim Dynamo.
The Denim Dynamo. We had him in here before. We're going to have him in again, so good luck to him.
Also, this past Saturday on DAZN from England, John Easy Ryder with a split decision in 12 rounds over Danny Jacobs. Your scores, 115, 113 twice, and in the dissenting vote went the opposite direction, 115, 113 for Mr. Jacobs. Real quickly, I just want to say about this fight. I thought Jacobs dominated the early half. Second half, Ryder made a comeback. Do I think Danny Jacobs did enough banking early rounds and maybe winning the 12th to win a decision? Yes. But this is what I call the exchange rate in boxing. As the foreign fighter, which Jacobs was on the road, sometimes when you bank 7 rounds, you only get credit for 5, and I think that's what happened. I thought it was a fairly close fight, gun to head. I do think Jacobs won, but Jacobs didn't do enough to overcome some of the dynamics that are around this fight. Before we get to anything else, fight previews coming up here. You mentioned Jermall Charlo. Looks like he's going to have some impending legal issues. Now, look, we're not the court of law. We're going to let this play out.
But what is he being accused of?
Well, look, it's never a good thing when a fighter's on TMZ. That's a general rule of thumb. When they're on Ring Magazine or on the 3 knockdown rule, it's a great thing.
I think when anyone's on TMZ, it's never
right about that.
Fighter or not.
I guess it's like an assault against a family member.
Oh, so I mean, did he get into a squabble with his cousin or something? Because
Yeah.
that's different,
Right.
as opposed to him, a young lady or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you've had maybe I don't know what's going on, but there is a difference. I think.
Right, and the attorney for Charlo is saying this is a shakedown. Okay, let's let it play out.
Okay,
but
let it play out.
if you're Canelo and you're his camp and you're thinking, okay, Cinco de Mayo weekend, I don't know if I want Charlo to be my dance partner because there's one issue. Who knows if he's going to be available?
Because of the legal situation.
I mean, you got to market this event. You got to promote this event. You also need an opponent.
Right. Well, it would be a good time to get him, though, while he's distracted and got a lot on his head.
Yeah, and also, keep this in mind about Jermall Charlo. He has not fought since last June. You know that?
Another good way to get him.
He struggled mightily against Montiel. So, if there's ever a chance to fight Charlo when he's most vulnerable,
that's my point.
I would think it's now.
Exactly.
Moving on, this quick weekend fight preview. Saturday from Manchester, England on ESPN Plus. Amir Khan takes on Kell Brook.
Finally.
And then Tijuana is the home for the Zone. Middleweight action. Jaime Munguia takes on Demetrius Ballard. Mario, if Amir Khan and Kell Brook can fight in 2021, I'm going to tell you this right now. I want to see Victor Ortiz against Brandon Rios in June.
I want them on the same card.
Oh, yes.
How much fun would that be? No, I mean, this fight should obviously happen 6-7 years ago. But even now, I'll take it. And you're right, and that's a great analogy. I think Brandon Rios and Victor Ortiz, I think the fact that they're not the fighters they were, but they still have that passion. They're just like these two aren't the fighters they necessarily were at their peak.
Hatfields and McCoys.
Exactly. It's going to be blood and guts, and it should be a lot of fun and TV friendly. As far as the Munguia fight, when I was talking to Oscar earlier too, this is great. So it's in Tijuana, but in the Bull Ring.
Órale.
And he says there's going to be about 30,000 people.
Órale.
Also, it's going to be quite the atmosphere. Hopefully, the weather will continue to hold up. But that's going to be, I think, visually a fun event.
I have a question, though. Jaime Munguia, in both our eyes, is getting better.
Yes.
Under the direction of Eric El Tribe Morales, this kid is improving.
Yes.
Why are they going backwards to Demetrius Ballard? This is a fact. He's number one by the WBC and WBO. Are you a promoter or are you a protector? And I've asked this of the WBC and the WBO. Hey, guys, this guy's been number one for a while. Jaime Munguia has right around 40 fights. Mm-hmm. He's been a world champion. Can we take off the training wheels? At what point are the sanctioning bodies going to say, you're number one, you either want to fight for the title or GTFO? And I like Munguia, but I got to keep it honest here.
I agree. And the only reason I don't have a problem with it is I'm assuming on the heels of this, if he's victorious, that title shot's coming. Because then I don't have a problem with it. You go from Rosado to this big event. It's his homecoming.
Okay.
And then you go. Would you have a problem if his
no,
next fight
but
is
the
the
next
title?
one. But this is where the sanctioning bodies have to do their job.
I
Their
agree.
job is not to protect and to babysit and become promotional partners. This is what happens way too often, in my view.
Yeah.
So,
no. If that happens, then I think all is well.
Also, from Mother Russia with love, Jorge Linares will be taking on somebody. I think it's Abdullayev. That'll be a WBC eliminator. Good luck to him. He could be back in the title mix. All right, when we come back on the 3 Knockdown Rule on Triller with Mario Lopez and Steve Kim, one of the most influential managers in the sport of boxing, joins us in studio, Mr. Egis Klimas. We'll be back on Triller. And we're back on the 3 Knockdown Rule on Triller. And Mario, a very special guest, returning with his presence.
That's right, the great Egis Klimas.
Hey.
Great to see you, sir. All right.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for taking the time to come. I want to jump right in and take advantage of the time we have with you, Egis. The statics of Usyk versus Joshua, what do we know?
We know what we're going into the rematch because the rematch wasn't closed. We were trying to make a fight with a Fury, and a Saudi was backing us up. I flew even with Usyk to Dubai. We met the people who was behind it, and we spoke, and everything was going in the direction looks like a fight should be happening. But then all of a sudden, it was too much fruit salads involved. It was, white. The WBC ordered mandatory for Fury, so the fight not happening. So we're back in a rematch with Joshua, and originally it was agreed to fight before April 25th, but because we moved a little bit into the negotiations, we agreed to move that fight. It has to be done by June 12th, I believe.
By June 12th. And is there a location determined yet, or is it still up for negotiation?
No, actually, the most gonna point financially, could be maybe Saudi, end of May, which is Eddie Hearn is talking about, or UK. I think Ukraine today out of the questions.
Right, obviously. Well, it's funny that you say that. I was going to ask you: Is Usyk distracted at all by what's going on in the situation in Ukraine?
It's nothing impossible to distract Usyk. It's no matter what situation he's going to be, he's going to find himself in a positive way. So I don't think he's even
too concerned
about that.
He's focused on business
He's
at hand.
focused in business. Correct.
I love me some Usyk.
He just went in Turkey and he played the professional soccer.
Did he really?
Yeah, he played for one of the Ukrainian team in Turkey, and he did very well.
Yeah.
Wow.
Egis, what was your understanding in terms of the step-aside fee for Anthony Joshua? Number one, was there one? And did you ever think that Anthony Joshua was going to accept it and that you could move on to Fury?
Well, as we all know, Joshua changed the trainer. So it would be in his advantage to take a step aside, do a tune-up fight, and then step for the winner, Usyk Fury. That would be, if I would be his advisor, that's what I would advise to him. And I don't know, I didn't see, but I heard it was a lot of money for a step-aside fee. And I think in this situation, what happened because of a WBC ruling for the mandatory, White and Fury had to go into the bout, and that's why I think this is what happened. Why this fight is not happening. But in this situation right now, look, Usyk fighting Joshua, Fury fighting White. The winners can meet to unify title. Even it's going to be Joshua, Fury, Usyk, Fury, White, Usyk,
however
whatever.
It plays out,
whatever
sure.
Yes, because we don't have any distractions in front of us. There is no mandatories involved, especially unifying titles. So the BA, it can be done. BO, we just fought. BC is going to be done. IBF, it was not long ago with a Pulev against Joshua. So that fight, it can be made with big headache and less money for investors.
No obstacles. Got it. Is Usyk using this? I mean, I don't know if you discuss strategy out loud, but do you feel he'll have the same approach towards this fight strategically?
Well, I cannot go much in the details because I am more on the paper.
Right.
Contracts, money,
managerial,
manager stuff. He has a very strong team. He has a psychologist. He has a trainer. He has an assistant. He has a massage guy. He has a nutritionist. So everything is there, and they just going, day to day training basis and learning and then looking and watching. So they will have a strategy. It's not my job.
Got it.
Here's a question with one of your other big name clients, Vasyl Lomachenko. George Kambosos seems to be putting up all his lightweight titles up for auction. My belief is that at a certain point you have to start making a decision and making fights. Where does Loma stand in all this?
I have a very good feeling the fight is going to happen between Lomachenko and Kambosos. We're talking right now about a 2-fight deal, including if Lomachenko wins, to do a rematch. I know some interest coming from Australian government. We've been talking dates. I don't know, but it's hard to say right now. But most likely end of May, June, somewhere in that area. You
are willing to go to Australia?
We're willing to go, not just willing to go to Australia. We're willing to move Lomachenko to do camp in Australia.
Wow.
Couple months before, because that way we can guarantee the fight is happening.
Right.
Because the country can be closed, can be opened, and
Sure.
to go all of this. So if let's say the fight in May, so March, Lomachenko will be in Australia preparing for the fight.
Have they loosened their COVID restrictions there a little?
I believe they have, but I mean, you hear different things, but those can change at any moment. What's current today may not be applicable in 2 weeks.
And will they allow a full stadium, for example? We don't know that either, right?
We don't know yet, but yeah, and it can change anytime. So
sure.
As far as Lomachenko team, the whole team is vaccinated, all the rules and
sure.
we don't have any reason why not to go there. We're including a rematch if they ask. So it's everything.
That's a huge event.
I guess if Kambosos goes a different direction, what is left then for Loma?
Retirement?
No.
No, has he considered that?
No, come on, no. He's not gonna retire and he's gonna have all the 4 belts. That was his goal. Some weight class division, he needs to have a 4 belts. This is his right now goal, and he's going that direction.
Yeah, I really hope that fight goes. Is it out of the realm to think a Devin Haney fight, assuming that doesn't work out, is a possibility?
Yeah, well, Devin Haney, if Floyd will allow Tank Davis, Ryan Garcia, there is good names in the weight class.
Yeah, but I'm realistic. I have no faith in these young lightweights. I call them the 4 caps. People call them the kings. I don't. Loma seems to be the one guy that wants to be a fighter.
Exactly. Well, Kambosos seems to be that guy too. If he steps up and he accepts his fight, then we'll see.
I hope he makes a decision soon. Egis, another one of your fighters, Gennady, the #1 rated WBO middleweight, Dmitry Bivol has vacated. What's his plan now?
He hasn't vacated yet. The WBO ruled him in. He can fight at the 168 and still keep 160 belt, and then 10 days he can make a decision. So right now we're going one by one who's in the rankings, the WBO, and see who's available. The one guy who was available, I think he's what's his name?
Falcao?
Yeah, Falcao. I think he's mandatory for IBF. He's trying to get a Golovkin into, so he's not. Munguia is going different direction, BC. So there is who's a number 3, 4, 5 guy, and we're gonna fight for the interim, and automatically if Andrade decided to stay at the 168, the interim automatically becomes a champion.
Are you confident? I know Gennady is a very confident fighter. Buddy McGirt's done a nice job training him. Doesn't have a lot of fights. Are you confident that he's ready to really face the world-class middleweights?
Well, I've been asked that question with everybody, with Kovalev, with Lomachenko, with Usyk, and if it's not today, when?
As he likes to say, if you can't fight today, you can't fight tomorrow. In other words, if you got a horse, let him run.
You're exactly right. And plus, we're working with a short window anyway.
Exactly.
You got to try to capitalize as when you can.
So these guys, you're talking about the guys who've been in the amateur rings, 300, 400 fights.
Exactly.
So
it's different too.
What he's going to learn?
And he's exactly right. Yeah. You're exactly. I love that attitude about it. Yeah. Egis, your stable has grown. So about how many fighters are you now managing now?
Over 20 probably.
That's a lot. So it's I gotta imagine very time consuming from morning to
night,
right?
And I used to be like a Soviet Union, Russian, Ukrainian, Lithuanian, Kazakh, Uzbek.
Eastern Bloc Egis.
Right.
But now I moved into Latin markets.
You got it. That's right. Look at
Well, that's the next question.
Exactly.
Our good friend Jose De La Cruz, you are now partners with in a lot of other ventures, but you have the Fernando Vargas's kids. What's that experience been like?
How did that come about, by the way, Egis?
I was approached because me and Jose, we became very close friends, really close friends became, and partners in this and that, and the tequilas and the restaurant. Actually, he's the one who's also became on the Novikov restaurant on the Beverly Hills we're opening. It's right now in the construction, so he's a partner in that restaurant as well. So he was approached by Vargas because he's a Mexican as well, and he said, I'm gonna go there if Egis is gonna go with me. So he called me. He was like, Egis, would you see this Vargas kids? And I knew for sure Emiliano can fight. But let me tell you that the last Saturday, February 5th, Junior can fight too.
He looked good.
He looked very good.
I saw that.
Yeah, he looked very good.
Has Emiliano had a pro fight yet, or?
No, we're working maybe to break a Cinco de Mayo.
Okay.
For him to do a good.
And one of the kids will be fighting March 19th, correct?
Amado is going to be fighting on March 19th as well. Also looking to get, maybe I can put a junior in the same card.
And that would be on the Charlo Castano card at the Crypto.com arena.
Correct.
Now, here's the question. Right now, those two cards that you were on February 5th in this fight are PBC. Have you and Jose made a decision in terms of situating the Vargas kids with a promoter?
No, not yet, because I had some kind of like a different deals with a PBC. They only make a few fights, so that's why we decided to put the kids on those fights.
Got it. Do you have to necessarily align yourself with a certain promoter with the kids, or can you be independent for as long as you can, or is it inevitable?
Well, right now the way it's ruling right now, because those kids are marketing machine. They work hard and they don't shy in the cameras. They don't shy to talk. It's a promoter's dream to have a fighter like this who can promote. So before the fight, and they announced we're going to be fighting. In a 3-day period, Jose had 61 person to call, wanted to sponsor those kids. 5,000, 2,000, 8,000, 12,000. So we walked out right now with a 2-year deal. We walked out right now with $375,000 in sponsors. So right now we're thinking, do we really need a promoter?
Right.
Maybe we can be independent.
Yeah.
When you handle kids who are relatively young, and they're not like a Lomachenko and Usyk who had these gold medals to their resume.
Sure.
They're already 25, 26 when you turn pro. These fighters, though, Egis, you do handle them a little bit more slowly, do you not?
Yeah, of course. You not slowly. First of all, if I'm gonna handle a fighter, he has to know how to fight. I'm not gonna take just anybody and let him get hurt in the ring. So, but you need to turn from amateur into pro. There is a different game. So you're not fighting no more. Sometimes I think amateur it's more difficult than professional. Professional, you know whom you're fighting. You can fight the tape on him. Yeah. You can, you can prepare right. Then you go in an amateur tournament. You don't know you're gonna fight. You're gonna fight lefty. You're gonna fight righty.
Yeah.
It's just like the way it comes. So, and you fight every day. You need to stay on the weight. Here, you got fight. You made the weight one day. You're done. You go eat. You do whatever you do. You go for 2 weeks in the tournament. You gotta to stay on that weight.
Yeah.
And fight almost every day.
That's a good point.
Egis, I want to bring up perhaps your best-known client early on, when people really got to know you, who's had a troubled past. Where do things stand legally and professionally with Sergey Kovalev?
Legally, we are still with the main events. Okay, he's under main events cover. As far as legally, we have an arbitration with a Golden Boy. I believe it's right now, the date is April.
And that stems from the Canelo contract, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Then we fought Canelo. It was agreed. We asked for such amount, which is they said, no, we give you less, but in case if you guys lose, we're going to give you 2 comeback fights.
Right.
And we include this amount into these 2 comeback fights. And they never gave us.
But didn't that have to do, because I know Sergey was supposed to fight Beck the Bully, and then there was a positive steroid test for Sergey. Wasn't it Golden Boy's stance at that point? Well, now the contract's over. Is that the main stumbling block to this current relationship?
I'm going to let that judge to rule out.
Okay.
Yeah. Was there any truth to the rumor about Kovalev possibly fighting on Triller?
That's not a rumor. That's what we've been talking about.
Oh, that's what we have been talking about. Okay.
And we've been talking, and as I know this is a Triller's radio station. You don't want me to talk shit about it, right?
No. You have a free run to say whatever you want.
Right here. That's the platform right there.
Egis, we know it's been a very bumpy ride.
Your English has gotten very good.
Yeah, very good. It's too good, Mario. But anyway, it's been a very bumpy ride for Sergey in and out of the ring. Here's my question. How motivated is Sergey to still box? I've seen some footage of him at Buddy McGirt. Question is, how much longer do you think he's going to fight? Who is he going to fight? And my question, is he going to be a cruiserweight from this point forward?
Well, to do for him a light heavyweight 175, he was struggling all the time.
He's a big guy.
Yeah, he's a big guy. And most of the weakness for him was to do 175. So sometimes even in the morning before the weigh in, he goes to sauna, he drains, he leaves everything out of him to do that weight. And then he goes in the ring, he can't recover in the 24 hours. So he's good for the 7-8 rounds, and then he's done. Even with Canelo. Mm-hmm. Look what he did with Canelo in the beginning.
Yeah.
So and then he just drained. That's it. He has no power, and you can see like in the 11th round, he's already like.
What's he walk around at? I guess
around 200,
which is the cruiserweight limit now.
Yeah.
So for him to fight a cruiserweight, it's not going to be a big issue. He has a good name. He has right now. He's hungry. He wants to fight. So right now, in the end of his career, we don't see no point for him to go and do a 175. In a cruiserweight, we can walk in 3-4 fights, 3 maybe fights. We can walk into the championship out, and then just close it.
Nice career.
Yeah.
One other thing. I know that you and Jose De La Cruz, I'm being told that you're going to be working with WBO bantamweight champion John Rel Casimero. What are the plans with him moving forward?
Well, right now he has he already planned a fight. He's going to be fighting in Dubai, defending his title, and after that we will see. We'll sit down. Jose is the one who spoke with him. Jose is the one who's arranged all of that. I haven't even met a kid shake his hand yet, so I just wanted to see how he's gonna do in Dubai after the fight, and then after the fight we're just gonna make a plans.
You mentioned Dubai and Saudi Arabia, these Middle Eastern countries. I'm just curious, who's putting up the money exactly when they do these site fees there? Is there a certain sheik, or is there are there that many fight fans out there? And
I think
I just find that fascinating in that part of the world.
Okay, for particularly for what I was negotiating about the Usyk fight, that was sheikhs, princes from Saudi Arabia. They are ones who, as you know, Saudi Arabia is opening slowly. They let the women drive. They let already women to movie theaters.
That's
they
huge.
Exactly. They wanna to get more tourists.
Okay,
yeah.
tourists. Oh, got it.
Yeah, so they probably wanted to compare like to Dubai. What is Dubai right now?
Yes.
Because if you go to you can't even have a beer in the Saudi Arabia. So,
wow.
Not even in the hotels.
Yeah.
Wow, not even in the hotel.
I know people that have gone to fights there, and they said it's the longest fight week because of that. Yeah.
Yeah. In Dubai you can. I know,
Yeah,
and that's why
Dubai.
there's a lot of Europeans and everyone said. So so Saudi Arabia's starting.
Saudi
to open up.
Arabia,
Okay.
they opening little by little, walking in. So what I'm saying, they doing FIFA tournament end of this year in
Qatar. So coincidentally, at the Super Bowl, I sat right. We actually sat right in front of me. The main guy. I sat by this guy, Bo Ferrari, who was the president of Telemundo, and he was next to this. I don't know what he was, a sheikh or something from Qatar. And so I was talking to him, but he was there to discuss the World Cup. And it's going to be in December, by the way.
Yes.
The World Cup, because it's usually in the summertime, because it's like 130 degrees. So they had to move it. They had to move it to December. But these guys got money.
Oh.
These guys got ridiculous money right there.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Egis, Are you worried about the state of the business that I don't think fighters are fighting enough? Everyone's locked into exclusive deals, and I don't think we get the fights that we want enough. From your vantage point as a manager, what's the state of the boxing business?
Well, I cannot say we have a problem right now to do a fight. The one problem I have right now, of course, with Gennady back, looking for somebody. But other than that, look, Lomachenko was fighting always the greatest and a good fighters. We didn't have to fight like just nobody. Usyk, same thing. We walked in. I don't see any problems.
Really interesting.
Well, he had two in those cases phenoms really that were able to come with such a decorated amateur background and jump right into the deep end, like you said, which is nice, but it's a very rare case too. Yeah. Right. As
far as to answer your question regarding the promoters and the networks, then of course it sucks because these guys are protected from one promoter or network doesn't want.
It's political.
It's political. That of course, but that was the issue all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
It's not just today. You're expanding economic, financial portfolio. You're getting into other realms of business. What is your future in boxing? Do you have the same focus as you did, let's say, 4 or 5 years ago?
Of course. Boxing is it's somebody says like a drug, but I never use a drug, so I don't know how to say it. But if you start it, you cannot stop it.
Yeah, it's something. I imagine you can just continue because it's always different. It's always you have these colorful personalities. You have these situations that are never exactly the same. It keeps you on your toes. I can't imagine it ever gets old, right? There's always something new.
Exactly. And and sometimes you're getting mad during a camp, or that the boxer drives you crazy, and then you go in the ring and he wins. You forget about everything.
Right. That's exactly it.
All right. Well, Egis, you have an open invite here, and please keep us in touch because this is big news. The Usyk Joshua fight. And I want to know what Kambosos is going to do because there comes a point in time, George, you got to fight.
He's got to.
I think
he's got to fight. So hopefully that comes true. That could be quite the year, I guess.
I think in a couple of weeks we should know which direction Kambosos will go.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, Egis Klimas joins us in studio. Please join us at any time, Egis. Really appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you, guys. Right.
And we'll be back on the 3 knockdown rule on Triller. We wrap it up with final flurries. And we'd like to thank Egis Klimas for joining us. Always a fountain of information.
He is. Good guy.
Absolutely. Power broker to the stars. Going on to final flurries. Mario, what was the SoFi Super Bowl experience like?
Okay, let me start from the beginning. First of all, I was actually dreading going because I kept seeing in the news, it's going to take 2 hours to get there. They're going to have a 5-mile radius where you can't park and they won't let you in. I was really dreading it, to be honest. Bro, we got there so quick and so easy. It took me longer than most of the Charger games I go to. I couldn't believe it. It was really, I was stunned. We left about 11:30ish from the house, right, to go. We thought that was early enough, and we arrived maybe 12:15ish, something like that. And boom, right to the stadium. It was super quick, no qualms. Walked right. I couldn't this is too smooth. I couldn't believe it. You get there, and I was surprised. There was a lot of people from Cincinnati right there. They turned out in full force. The stadium looked beautiful. It was great. I already mentioned it was the hottest day, or the hottest day in Super Bowl history. The game itself was fantastic. The one thing that stood out, no one wore a mask. Okay.
Good for them.
And no one asked for any sort of proof
good.
No, it was good. It was great. You know what wasn't good? My kids had to get up to go to school today and put on the mask to go to school. And I was like,
that's interesting.
Why are we having a stadium with almost 100,000 people full here and there were 100 million people saw it, right, all around the world, and then we're going to just pretend it doesn't exist and then to wake up the next day? That was the only thing. I'm not a big whatever guy, but I just get mad at I feel like my kids haven't learned anything in 2 years. And I went to the student parent teacher conference, and they had one of those shields, those little plastic shields. They did like little energy forces, and then the masks, and then the teacher's trying to talk to me with his mask. I couldn't understand him. I couldn't hear him. I go, there's no way my kids are learning anything. And so it was great to see stuff be back to normal. But then it's like we pretend it didn't exist, and we come back, and my kids still got to wear this, these masks. It was incredibly frustrating. I saw your boy Garcia there too,
holding his breath still.
We're holding his breath.
Yeah.
Holding his breath. We were all holding our breath right there. So that was my my takeaway.
About the halftime show, I thought it was very well produced. It looked good on TV.
Well, let me interrupt you for a
second.
second.
I have. Can you actually hear the lyrics or really hear what the music is when you're there? Because I've always thought when I was there at certain places, you're kind of there for the atmosphere, the energy, but I could never really hear the lyrics if you're there.
First of all, I was so impressed by how quickly they they rolled out and set up the production of it. They must have had 100 people. In a matter of minutes, put up, and I didn't understand. And tell me how it looked on TV.
They practiced that the whole year.
No,
the NFL literally has made this into a franchise.
It was really impressive. And then the way they covered the field and all that, and then they removed it in minutes, like in 2 minutes, and then the field looked pristine, like nothing happened. It was amazing. I recorded a lot of it, but I didn't understand. And maybe in TV it could explain better. What they showed up and they were like in trailers, or what were those compartments?
Or like houses. Right.
Yeah, I could in person. I was like, "What is that?" That seemed like a weird choice to me.
It's like they're going from room to room.
But did it pay off on TV? Did it look cooler?
It was really good.
It did look good on TV. Because in person, it looked kind of. I was like, "What's going on here?" Then I see 50 Cent coming in upside down.
You mean a Pudgy Cent?
Everybody was calling him 75 Cent.
Yeah, a lot of inflation there. Yeah.
My guy, you know what I love about 50 though? He was reposting all the memes where people were making fun of him. He was reposting it, so I love that about him.
Mario, one last thing here. One thing that I did see, the most memorable national anthem I ever heard, obviously, in my view, is Whitney Houston.
Of course.
Super Bowl, Tampa during the Gulf War. E60, ESPN, did a half-hour showing about that. This is funny.
Yeah.
So when Whitney and her producers and her people sent in a tape of this is what we're going to be doing, the NFL, their producers, we don't really like it. It's kind of like a little bit too long, and the cadence. Whitney's people basically said, hey, leave the singing to us. We'll do the football. And again, let Whitney do the singing because she knocked it out of the park. And I actually got a lot of emotions just watching that again.
That was a poignant moment, too, because remember Operation Desert Storm had just happened.
People were, I've seen NFL films where they, thousands of people were crying during that national anthem.
And she did it in a windbreaker.
And I actually believe that from this point forward that the national anthem, it should just be a videotape or hologram of Whitney.
She was great. Mickey Guyton, I thought, did a nice job.
By the way, The Rock, I kind of get why he's there. I didn't need the last 45 seconds.
Yo, what was that?
Just say,
that was weird.
Can you just say what The Rock is cooking and get the kickoff?
Yeah, I know. That's what I thought. He gave, what was that, weird kind of pep speech he gave?
Both teams.
It was a weird move. It was The Rock's becoming almost like a parody of himself. It's so weird. The Rock, by the way, in his plum outfit, my guy looked bigger than most of the players, even without pads.
Yeah, his bicep workout. Ask if you can get that. I like to.
Well, I think you can get. You need to be a little engineered.
Engineered. Engineered.
Bro, I thought he was gonna explode. He looked crazy.
What was the traffic like out of the stadium post game?
The traffic, believe it or not, it wasn't bad. The only thing that I got mad at, I couldn't find the car on the way back. The guy gave, how you do the pin.
Yeah.
Shared my location. Well, the car was in the red lot. Well, the red lot's about a mile.
You don't do that thing where you take the picture of where you parked? I do that
bro,
all
I
the
didn't
time.
park, bro. I had a car.
Oh,
so the guy had to move. But I thought we were going to have to walk out of the stadium, maybe go across the street or something. He managed to somehow get himself into the stadium, and he went into the red lot. Well, the red lot, like I said, is a mile. So he's like, where are you? And then the exact location just brings you to the red lot.
Yeah.
I'm here on the main road. Where? In the front. So for a half hour, that was the only thing that didn't go smooth. I was looking at, somehow my friend found him immediately. And I'm over here. My phone's dying. It's on 1%. I was getting very stressed out. That was the only stressed out.
Feeling.
It's the worst feeling. You don't have your car. Your your battery's dying. It's like the worst. So they got to sharpen up that share my location. Yeah. But I got there quick. Got to the seats. Came out. Once we got in the car, we got home quick. I couldn't believe it. It's taking me longer for Chargers games. But finding the car was the only monkey wrench.
All right, well, that's it for this week's edition of the 3 Knockdown Rule on Triller. We'd like to thank our special in-studio guest, Egis Klimas, on behalf of Mario Lopez, Smokin' Tim Frazier, Justin Buffalo Knuckles, and Tino on the edits. This is Steve Kim saying goodbye, everybody.